Hi guys, on the hour I'm going to be showing you all how I make tiny little Vikings to go with our Kraken model. I'll see you then. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Carly from Carly's Creative Clay. This week we're carrying on with the project that we've been doing previous weeks. If you go onto my YouTube, you will see that I've actually got playlists of the projects that go over several weeks, and this Viking longboat being attacked by a Kraken is one of them. I'll start out how I always start out, which is items that are in my Etsy shop already, although I am going to say that my Etsy shop is closed at the moment. So we got two bears, they're both statues. One's in a wheelchair, as you can see, and because the wheelchair takes more to make than the others in the range, this one is £16, whereas the other one is £15, and it's a bear with a walking stick. So there you go, there's just one of each of those.
Fairy Hedgehog says sweet little wheelchair bear.
Hi Fairy Hedgehog.
He is a sweet little
Thank
wheelchair
you.
bear. That's a bit of a tongue twister.
I'm going to say this up front, and if anyone else joins I will mention it again quickly. The health thing that's going on at the moment, YouTube is suppressing videos that talk about it because there's a lot of fake news out there, which is sensible. So if we could, can we not use the name of it, because it's liable to put this video into being ghosted. Okay?
Fairy Hedgehog says hi Carly, hi all.
Hi. Right. Let's show where we got started. Where we got up to, rather. Move this over carefully. It is definitely the biggest statue I have ever made.
I mean, people can type it if they like, we're just not going to read it or pronounce
Yeah,
it.
we're not going to read it or that sort of thing. That's a 50p piece, so that gives you a size idea. If, for my American friends, let me get my 1 cent coin. So yeah, that's 1 cent, that's 50p. Gives you an idea on the size, it's huge. So let's hold it up and show you, give you some close-ups. So, first off, can you see the little Viking there in the tentacle? That's what we're going to try and do, is make 9 more little Vikings. There's one in... Thank you. There's one in the tentacle there. There is one... Let's see, can you see pinned to the boat? Just in... Whoop, in there. And then on the other side, we got this dude who is hanging upside down over here. He's got a little belly button. I'm not sure if you can see that close, but let's see if I can turn it round. He has got a face and a nose, but it's facing like into the tentacle. So I made those 3 because they're interacting with the squid, but we're going to be doing all the others that aren't, that are going to be clinging to the boat or in the water. So we got the Sowling and squid done. So you got a whole idea. I took one of the tentacles, let's see, going up the mast around the back and tucked it in, and on the front of it I did another one just curling up the front like that. So I've tried to make sure that they're interacting, and I did show you how to make everything that you see here in the previous videos. So I put this down and I put this up to one side, and I'm going to get some of the clay out, English, Carly. Get some of the clay that I've mixed up for colours that could be potentially needed for my Vikings. couple of skin tones.
That you're gonna need to-
So those are various shades of pinks, whites and oranges.
Hearty Life says hello.
Hi Hearty Life. Then I've gone for some basic greens and reds, a blue for clothing, and a whole heap of different browns for both clothing and hair colour. And they seem to like that sort of creamy light coloured beige. But this is mixtures of browns and oranges and yellows and things like that. Other than that, I've got the dark silver for the helmet, a light silver for a sword that I'm going to put in, and a black. So, let's show you first off what Vikings actually looked like. Because you know the helmet with the two horns? That didn't happen. That was myth. They didn't actually wear that. This is a costume that actual Viking reenactment people wear that's meant to be periodically appropriate. As you see, the helmets, they're quite rounded with a little bit of metal covering the nose. And mainly the outfits are sort of trousers with a tunic top. Sometimes they wore a cloak. Generally the higher ranking ones would get a cloak. But that's where you're going with it all.
We've lost connection. We're back.
Oh.
Back.
Are we back? Did we lose connection there?
We still lost connection. What's happening? It's red. It's gone down to 11. Oh, hold on. Something has gone very... Oh, it's coming back. Okay,
Right.
we're fine.
Are we back? Can anyone hear me now? Apparently we lost connection for a little bit.
Yep.
So I paused. So sorry about that, guys. The internet's being a bit sketchy.
I take the picture.
So nobles would wear cloaks, but generally the peasants and armed forces wouldn't. So that's a general look at what they would be wearing. So you're on tunics, trousers and boots, with or without a helmet. Okay, yay, good, we're back. Right, so you can take that down. And here's a picture with a closer look at the helmets that they did wear. So they'd either wear the kind of pointy ones with a nose bit, or if you can see at the top there's a more rounded one. It's kind of covered by my shop title there. So that's where we're going with this, and we've got to make them quite small because we're doing them to scale with the rest of the ship. So let's start out by making the first guy a full, do the whole body, the whole thing, and have him he's climbed over the top.
There's a very long lag between me saying something and you seeing it. Yeah, there was probably an interruption that's caused lag.
I'm really sorry, the internet's going a bit weird with us. We're dropping in and out. I hope it lasts through. Right, let's start with a pair of trousers. So I'm going to need to go to the other camera. Thank you. We've got a zoomed in camera. So I'm going to go for a dark green, I think. And we really don't need a lot of clay because we're only making them on smalls. You're going to start out, roll yourself out a ball.
Can you see on the... Try and keep it centered. Fairy Hedgehog says at least 15 seconds, maybe more. That
Eek.
is frustrating. But
That is
it's nothing
really
we can do.
frustrating, Fairy
The only
Hedgehog.
thing we
I'm
can do
really
is restart
sorry.
the stream.
The only thing we can do is actually restart the stream.
I don't think that's a good idea.
But my tech guy says that he don't think that's a good idea. So we formed it in a ball, and I'm going to twist one side out into a more pointy stick, and then do the same the other side. You're trying to get it to the same length and thickness as the first one you did, so it looks like that, kind of almost diamond like with a small bump in the middle.
Hedgehog says no worries.
And we're going to then fold these bits you just pulled out over, slightly pinch around the top, and there your trouser legs. Okay, so we're now on to a top. Now, what colour top? Shall I give him a red top? It's very unusual for them to have had two lots of colour. Usually it seems to be a browny tone and one piece, either their top or their bottom, with some basic colours to it. So let's do a reddy brown top. Now you need a little bit more clay than you do with the trousers, so that would do.
You're quite off the screen.
Yep. I have to take the clay from the pile and then bring it over. Sorry. So, rolling it into a ball, you're gonna, on one of the top sides of that ball, you're gonna do like you did with the leg, but a little bit smaller. Take out, by pinching and rolling, a little stick. You're gonna do the same the other side. Can you see I'm still leaving a nice bit at the bottom for the top? So like that. That's the start of your top. Now, you can either get a ball tool and make it into more of a tunic by getting the tool, pushing it into the base of the top, and you're gonna just flatten out that side and bring it down so that it can lay over the top of your trousers a bit more. So thin, 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 and that gives you quite a baggy tunic. I'll show you another way of doing it, which is in some ways a little easier, but there you go. You're putting your trousers in that gap, so your top's like that. Then you can shape your waist around it and bring the arms down to how you want. So oops, down we go, like that. There we go. So you've got a tunic top. This one, how I've folded it, it's gone in more of a V. So the other option to do is what I'm going to do to make that a bit more rectified. You can make a frill, same colour, bring it out. That's probably a little too little clay. I'll show you what I mean. Roll it into a stick, push it flat, and then put it round the whole of that.
Like a belt.
Like a belt, but it's actually going to be the bottom part of the top that frills out a bit. Like that.
This camera's not as good as our usual one.
Let's get it laying right. There we go. I'm going to pinch that off. Bring that around. So that gives you a more smoother edge. It's because I'm trying to stay on camera that's made it a lot trickier. So there we go. I'm going to push that down. Then you can either come in with a ball tool and smooth it in, or anything that's got a bit of a rounded edge that will just rub out that line, or you can come in with a belt of a different colour. Your waistline is not looking right. There we go. I do love my ball tools because you can just fiddle around until it looks right. like that. I'm going to put a neckline in as well, just by pushing down like that. There we go. Smudge you out. Come on, arm. There we go. That's better. There. That looks more like it. Let's bring that under those arms a bit more. There. That looks a bit better.
So mini.
It is so mini. Let's bring those legs down a little bit more. There we go. Right. So we're now on to putting on a head and a neck. So tiny bit of pink. Rolling it out. Then you're gonna roll down to make a neck. To hold your piece against your body so that you can get your head size right, and if it's too big just pinch more, roll it down. Then that extra neck, where is my craft, there we are, just get a X-Acto knife or a craft knife, just cut that off. There we go. And I'm gonna pinch a little nose onto the front of that face.
I need to set up manual focus for this camera. I don't
Like so.
know how to do it yet though.
And then tap it down because no one has a
Hold it up to the centre to show us.
nose that point. Whoops, there we go, centre. Can you see? Little pointed nose, but I'm gonna just tap it down a bit so that it's not such a sharp point because it looks like a beak. I'm gonna put that in the middle and spush that on in place. Then get my pin tool. Where are you? There we are. And I'm going to go eye, sad looking mouth, because he's being attacked by a kraken.
Yeah, I'd be sad if I was being
Then
attacked by a kraken.
you want two little balls that you have rolled into almost teardrops but with kind of a flat end, and you're going to push them onto the arms for the hands. It's good when you're working in this kind of size, you don't have to go into details of fingers. Right. Now I'm going to make him kind of blonde like this. They had quite long hair back then, so that should do for some hair. But before I put the hair on, I want to make him a little Viking beard. So again, allocate clay. You want to pinch the top into that almost Y shape, like that. Now you can either leave the beard in a single triangle like that, or you can put it down on your surface, split it down the middle, fork those out. I like to put a few lines on so it looks more beard like that, and then put it in place just under the chin and wrap those 2 points around like that. Let's open the point out, there we go. So he's got his beard on. Now let's pick him up and put some hair on him. So it's actually really quite quick to do this. Now, so long as he's got some hair going on the back, we haven't really got to worry about the top of the head because we're about to make him a helmet. So he is fine like that so far. So what we're going to do, tiny bit of the dark silver, and that's just silver and black. roll that into a ball. Then we're going to use the ball tool to make it into a hat shape, like so. Make sure you don't go too deep and poke straight through the end. If you do, just roll it back up into a ball and start again. So as you can see, I'm just going around and making sure that it's all pretty thin so that it's big enough to fit the head in, like that. And simply stick that on his head. If it's you measuring it, it's too narrow, you can widen it out. Just gently tug the sides slightly. See, it's now wider, and I can then do that, and he's got a helmet, and then suddenly that hair looks right. I'm gonna bring that up to a point, make that, show you how to make it into a pointed helmet. See, like that. Then we've just got to put that little bit of silver down the nose, so you're going to need a tiny pinch of clay rolled into a ball, and then roll it into a little stick. Even that's a bit big, so let's cut that down like that. I do like using a pin tool this way. There we go. Look how tiny that is.
It's so tiny.
Yeah.
It's not going to focus. It needs to be right in the middle to focus.
It's not going to focus. Sorry, we're on a more rubbish camera. We're using a phone camera that is the only one we've got that'll do close enough. So that's in place, and I'm just smoothing over that join line. So.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Now, couple of little shoes. So I'm going to go for black. You only want 2 tiny little balls, like that. You want your balls to be the same size. So that's a little bit bigger than the other one. You can get really exact and get a weighing scale out. They do quite small weighing scales, but you can just eyeball it. Right, can you see I just rounded those balls out so they're now kind of tic-tac shaped? Yeah, and you're going to put them on the end of your feet, on the end of your legs rather, facing like you would with feet. So like that. So we've got one Viking done. Now I'm going to move my colours out the way. I am going to place him before I make the next one. I just got to get my colours out the way. I think I'm going to leave the colours over to the side like this and just have to accept that I'm going to go off camera sometimes when I'm fetching some colour. Right, let's pick him up, make sure he's safe, and we're going to need to attach him to the model. And I think where he will look good, he's climbed up that coal. Wrap his arms around.
He's very cute, and I feel sorry for him being krakened.
Yeah, they're all getting krakened. So that's what I think will look good for him. And if you see, I'm just tapping him on and making sure that he's firmly stuck to the end there.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah? So that's 4 of them. 4 out of 12. And the reason why there's 12 is because there's 6 oars and 6 shields down each side. And there would have been a man for each oar and shield. And an extra man to do the rudder oar, so that should be 13 actually, and we're on 4. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to do the full body of all of them, because some of them we can do this. Let me just wipe my hands. Because we got water, we can do just the top part. So let's choose another colour. Skin tone, blue, and that brown. So we'll give them a blue top. Actually, we're going to be in the water, that'll vanish, won't it? Let's go red. So we want a red top, like we did before, where you're going to pull out one side, then pull out the other side. But what we're going to do is we're going to have him swimming. So one arm's going to go down like that. Do a tiny bit of pink for the bit of arm, suggesting the rest of it's going under the water. So like that. So that arm's going to go in like that. This arm's going to go up. So that will need more of an arm to it. So then all we've got to do now is the head and neck. And again, not all of them wore helmets, and certainly quite a lot of them's helmets are going to fall off. So we don't have to do a helmet on them all. So again, pinch out a little head and then pinch out a little nose. Like that. Let's give them a bit more head. There we go. Right. So that's too much neck. It's always easier to make it with too much neck because you're going to be holding the neck when you're sculpting that nose. So then just trim it off. Now, let's put the 2 eyes in. Because we're doing beards, we don't actually need to do the mouth. What colour beard shall we do? That's what we got for it, didn't we? So, but it would seem that Vikings all tended to wear a beard. The guys anyway. Not so sure about the women. There were female Vikings, yes. It's not all guys. So, well, how were they to have kids?
Well, I didn't know if the females went on the boats.
They, as far as I'm aware, they did have girls on the boats doing the war type stuff. I think it's quite a roughly equal society, but I can't swear to it. So
Like
I'm going to turn his head like that, so like he's swimming.
Does he need another arm?
I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do that last once the hair's in. Because I'm less likely to knock it off then. Right.
That's very logical.
Now, how I like to do hair when I haven't got a hat, I split it into 2 smaller bits, and then you can make almost a teardrop shape, but with quite a bit more of a rounded bottom. You see? So it's kind of somewhere between a flat stick and a teardrop, because you are going in a bit narrower. Yeah? And you're going to put one side down. Whoops, don't cover his eye. Sorry, I'm trying to see what I'm doing. We're going to tap that in place like that. Sorry, like that. Yeah? Then you do the same on the other side. and it forms his parting and the hair lays a bit better. See?
Oh, I wish I could control the focus. That looks really good.
Like that.
When it's in focus.
Then I'm going to turn his head a little bit. So it'll be like this, so the hair needs to fall down the side like that. Then I can put that last little hand in and he's ready to go in. There we go. One hand. We're going to keep experimenting with cameras, and we will get it so that we can do a zoomed in and focus it. I'm sure.
Settings for this camera app I'm using
So,
that will allow me to control it.
little dude swimming. So let's put him in here. Like that. So let's hold that up. Okay. And you've got to make sure that you firmly push your clay down, but not enough so you're distorting what you just sculpted.
Yeah.
So that's 5 out of 13. Yeah? Now, yeah, I'll keep going and doing some more. Now what I want over here, whoop, that tentacle, I want it to be grabbing one who's trying to swim up to him with a sword. Because, you know, Vikings, at least one of them are going to go for an attack. So let's do Mr. Courageous, yeah? So what colours are we going to go for? Let's do a lighter green top. Right, back on the screen, there we go. So again, we're pinching out the arms. Like so.
Artie Life says, I love the one being held upside down by his leg.
Yeah.
Shall I zoom back to...
Here he is. Whoop, I'll put him under that camera.
Yeah. He's cute.
And all you've got to do with that is, instead of bringing the top down the legs, you're going to put a little bit of tummy skin in and then drape a bit of cloth, a bit of clay just around in a strip. Sorry. Literally.
You're still off camera.
Sorry, I'm still off camera. Can you change cameras for a second? Right. I've flattened out a single strand of clay, very thin, and then draped it over the top of the top. So it looks like the bottom of the top falling down over him. That's the only thing I did different. And the hair, once I put it on, which was done the same way as the little guy I just did, I then pushed it downwards instead of flat against his neck. If that makes sense? So yeah. Whoop. There we go. I'm going back to making that top.
Courageous.
So, back over to this camera. Cool. So we're going to carry on with Mr. Courageous. So like that. Do a little bit of a neckline.
Just because they're being attacked by a Kraken doesn't mean
Yeah.
they're going to lose.
Absolutely. So that's going to be like that. Like that. Tiny bit of pink for the arm that's in the water.
Camera stoppers.
Like that. And then we're going to do the neck and head. Like so. I mean, you can also get involved and put a moustache on over the top of the beard, but it's actually a bit too small and fiddly for me in this sort of size range.
I'm not sure we'd be able to film it.
So
It's so
I
tiny.
don't even think I'll be able to. Yeah, Jamie's like, I don't think I could film that. So bit of a nose in, tap it down so it doesn't look like a beak, like that. Then we're going to stick that in place. Do a couple of eyes on him, like so. Already looking like a guy. So let's get my positioning right. There we go, like that. Okay, so we need some hair. Let's give him some black hair. We haven't got any with black hair yet. So 2 little balls, and again you're making that sort of somewhere between a sausage and a teardrop. And can you see I've not worried that it's sort of wavering in thickness. You really can be quite rough on this because it just looks like better hair when you do that. When it's exact, it looks a bit weird. So, whoops.
The camera keeps focusing on your hand.
Down one side. Wrap it around the back. Then remember you're using the wider part towards the scalp and the thinner part going down as the bottom of the hair. Like this. There we go. He's now got hair in. It is a bit off to, oops, there we go. It's a bit off to one side. There we go. He's now got hair in. So like that. We can do, let's do a little beard for him. So pinching out the top. So it's almost like a Y shape you're going for. And it just fits under nicely. When you do that, whoops, you just got to make sure that you line it up and curl those Ys around into place. So now all we need is a hand and a sword. So let's do the hand. Like so. That is a chunky hand.
It's a big hand.
Yeah, it was like almost the size of his head. So
it could be a whole arm, but
would have been a bit weird that.
Yeah.
There we go. There's a hand in there. Then what we're going to do is get some silver.
If you can go about 2 inches to the right, the camera should, yeah, there, where you are there. If you put the guide there that you're working on, yeah,
Here?
the camera should focus on it
Right.
more, because that's the point the camera will
I'm going to roll this into a point like that, and then slightly tap it flat. So we're making a sword. Then we want a little cross the hilt of it. Cross brace. Like that. There we go.
Can you give it a handle, or you can attach
I'm going to give it a handle. I'm going to give it a red handle.
Actually, you might want to stick it to his hand and then put a pommel under his hand as if he's holding it.
Yeah, that might work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the start of a handle, so a little dot, push that flat like that, so then when it looks like he's holding it, it doesn't look like he's got it right up by the hilt, which you wouldn't do.
Yeah.
It makes it look more, there we go, like that. And then you get a dot, roll it into a cylinder and stick that to the underside.
Please be careful not to knock the
like
camera
that.
out. It makes it wobble a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that looks amazing.
whoop, flatten up your blade. There we go, like that. So let's get this and put it in place. So he's going to be swimming like that there. go.
That looks so good.
Yeah, bring it up to the camera a bit more. So what was that now? We got 3 before, 4, 5.
I think you're up to 5 now.
I'm up to 5 out of 13. And we can also, I'm definitely going to do a guy hanging off the edge of the ship. So let's do a full bloke again. So this time, so we're back doing trousers again.
I'll be right back.
So, here we go. It is amazing how quickly they come together, these little blokes. And if I was making this any bigger, I would have to really spend a lot more time refining the details so that they actually resemble people more. But when you're working very small, it doesn't matter so much. So let's get this top. So, and the good thing is, where you're making so many of them, because I think 6 aside was the smallest of the longboats. They did go up to good 13 or 14 each side, and that's a lot of men. But even when you're making 13 guys, by the end of it you've gotten quite quick at it all. Let's put it like that. So can you see I'm just putting in that little strip, goes all the way around like that. Now that ball tool's going to be too big for this one. This is why the set is very useful. Just tuck it all in like so. And if you want to put a belt on to cover that line, you totally can, because they did. Whoop. You just got to roll it out thin enough. So there we go. Whoop, there. That looks thin enough. I'm going to get through this without using much clay. I've done a clay order as well, so I should be able to get through at least the next couple of months without needing any clay, which I think is going to be a good thing. But, whoop. See how fiddly it gets when you get this small. It just wants to stick to everything.
I assume you know that you're slightly...
Yes, sorry, I'm just trying to tease up that belt that I just put in place and bring it round. That side's going to be the back, I tell you, or the front. Hang on, which way am I having? Yeah, that's going to be the front, because I'm going to get these legs, bring them out. Sorry, there we go. Now I need these arms up in the air like so, without me catching that belt. It's all fixable. You just got to have the right tool to be able to push it all back down like that. There we go. There. Like this, because he's going to hang off the side of the boat. There we go. Right. Now we don't actually need to spend too much time worrying about his face, because we're going to have his back to us. But anyone looking at the back of the model will be able to see if we leave him faceless, so we're not going to go that far. But it is a good time to tell you that do think about where you're placing things, because there's no point making stuff that no one's going to see. And I've done it myself, spent ages sculpting, and then realised actually that's going to be something that's covered up.
Can you go slightly right? Can you
Right,
maybe
there
on-
we go.
The more centred you are, the more it focuses. Yeah,
Right.
look, perfect.
There we are. So
You can move the man across there as well. Thank you.
let's put his head on. That head is a bit big actually for the body, I
Can you
think.
just do it again?
No, you just squidge down the thigh. Can you see it's reducing in size? All that clay's going down the neck. Just give it a little tap and a little squidge and it will all come into how you want. The joy of clay, I tell you, is immense. So I haven't done any food hoarding or anything like that, but I have made sure I've got enough clay. Shows you my priorities in life.
Yeah.
So there we go, bring those arms up, there we are. So that's on. Now, let's get a hair colour. What haven't we used? That'd do. Hair and beard. So, I won't make many more of these on camera because it's all
Mostly the same.
basically the same thing, rinse and repeat.
Are you going to make any orange haired ones?
What, this colour? That's the closest I've got to orange. But Vikings seem to be on the blondes or brown shades. I didn't see many redheads or orange tones.
I thought they were where Scotland got so many redheads from.
I may be wrong, I can have a look around, but the good thing is I've only got to represent 13 of...
Yeah.
I keep doing that, putting the narrow end at the top and it's not right. There we
Can
go.
you go right at all?
There we go.
Thank you.
One side, two sides. Bring it down like
When you're
that.
looking at your feedback, the more centred you are on the feedback.
There we are. Now, I do him... Should I do him a helmet? Nah, he's gonna be...
Got helmets.
3. Let's do him a quick helmet. It's not... doesn't take long. The other way you can do it is pinch a flat ball like that and then bring the flat ball over your stylus around the ends up like that, but you are more likely to have wiggly lines when you do it that way, so you've got to spend a bit of time and be careful about it. Whoop, folding it in.
Even the edges up.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's get his helmet on. There we are. One helmet. Oh, I didn't give him a beard. That was silly. Let's get his beard on. Because they were all about their beards. It worked out really well for me. I went for the Viking longboat because it was the easiest boat to make. And it turned out that the Vikings themselves had really easy clothing. So, double win.
Absolutely.
There we go. Hat, hair, all of that in place. Tiny little silver nose. I think this one might be the last one that I do on stream. If that's alright with you guys.
It's now almost 6 o'clock.
Then I've been going for an hour. And it really gives you an idea.
And different shapes you've made. You've made some beautiful ones.
Yeah. So, if you've got any problems, I'm always up for messaging, especially now that I'm not doing much with my days.
I can't really go out.
So, do feel free to message me in all the usual places. There are lots of videos on my YouTube if you want to follow any of them. So it should be good for you, because lots to watch and do whilst you're stuck at home. There are a fair few on there. Oops, where are we? That was my shoe. Helps if you don't put the clay back that you just took off. Yeah. There we are. Shoes, arms, and there are many ways you can do your Vikings. You don't have to have them on a long boat. You can have them running around places and messing up villages and all sorts of things. So this is just an example. So can we go on to the big one? I'm going to place him and oops. Let's move you over. So, like this. Coming over the side. There we are. And now he's in place, I can put on some more wavy lines down his hair just to make it, since that's the side that's obvious, it makes it look more like hair. There we go. So let's hold that up and show you him in place. And whoop, let's spin it round so you can see it from the other side. You can still see he's, let's see, him there is what we're looking at. Not sure we got decent enough lighting, but there we are. There is still a guy's face poking out. Yeah, you can see the little hand, so it's still quite cute on that side. So the more little Vikings you manage to put in, that's why I'm going to try and make sure I do all 13. It just makes it all more interesting. So I hope you all have a good week. If you guys start doing stuff like this, I'd love to see what you've been up to. Have a good week, and I will see you next Wednesday, where I will start a new project and show you this baked up, finished. I will varnish it, and I'm planning to experiment with a glue gun to make waves breaking around the ship and the squid.
Oh wow, Fairy Hedgehog says it has so much character.
So thank you. I'm really pleased with it, and I'm glad you all like him too. Alright, I will speak to you all next week.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Bye.